Okay, so what we're going to do is configure sites and services. So I'm going to go to any domain controller. The only thing that really needs to happen is we need to make sure that we're signed in as our enterprise admin. So right now I'm signed in as the enterprise admin. If I go to tools, users and computers, and then I go to the enterprise admin group, I can see that that machine, that user account is a member of the enterprise admin. And I just closed my DC. But you know something? Just for giggles, I'm on child DC. I'm going to sign in as the parent admin, the enterprise admin. Other user, Contoso. Doesn't matter which DC you're on, as long as you're signed in as the enterprise admin. Any DC in the forest, just part of any domain. Go to Active Directory Sites and Services. Are we connected to her? I'm going to expand sites. I'm going to highlight default first site. In our diagram, we called that West. Guys, I hit F2. I just highlighted default first site, hit F2, renamed it West. Now I'm going to go to subnets. Right click and create a new subnet. One 172.16.0.0/21. Associate that with West. Click OK. Now I'm going to highlight sites and create a new site. East. I'm going to highlight default IP site link. I'll explain what that is in a few minutes. Click OK. And it's giving you a warning that you need to associate a subnet with that site. So I'm going to go back to subnets, create a new subnet, 172.16.8.0/21, and associate that with East. So I have two sites, each associated with the subnet. if a computer is in a particular site and has a certain IP address, it's going to talk to servers only in its own site. It won't go across the WAN link. I'm going to go in DNS now. I want to show you what sites does to DNS. So I'm going to go to Tools, open up DNS. Does this have the parent domain in this DNS? I'm only looking at the child domain because that's the only thing that DC5 offers. Where is Contoso.com? What DCs have that? I can connect to that server right from here because I'm signed in as an enterprise admin. So CS01 DC1 dot, I can just do that. So I can look at all my servers from this one machine. I don't have to jump over to the other machine. It all because I'm signed in as the right user account. If I was signed in as child /administrator, I wouldn't be able to do this. Look at this. We have something called sites now. If I drill down into sites and drill down to TCP, it's going to, what's a service record? Remember we had A records. What are A records for? Right. If you have an A record, you're resolving a name to an IP. What's a pointer record? Resolving an IP to a name. What's a service record? Resolving a service to a name and an IP. So basically, if a machine, like a Windows 10 machine, boots up to the network, that's joined to the domain, how does that Windows 10 machine know who the domain controller is? Because when we join it to the domain, we just put Contoso.com. We don't say who the domain controller is. Well, it contacts DNS and does a request for a service record. It says, I want to know who the LDAP server is. That's our DC. So on the west side, it's resolving LDAP to DC2. And there'll be additional records that will pop up here in a little bit because we haven't, it hasn't gotten rid of this yet, the original default first site. So basically, when it does service request, it's going to be site aware. So basically, Windows 10 clients, when they try to resolve it, they're going to go to the same, they want to resolve it and find a DC in the same site as them. They're not going to go across the WAN link. Here's the whole purpose of the WAN link. I have West Site here. I have a WAN link between my two sites. My ISP provides that. However they do it. They connect me to the other site. And I have an east site here. So if I have a DC here, and I have a Windows 10 client here, I don't want that Windows 10 client going across the WAN link and signing into that DC. I want to make sure that they use a local DC. By defining sites, that's what you're going to do. You're going to tell all your clients which DCs are local to you. If you have a DFS server, it's going to use a local DFS server, not go across the WAN link. Why don't we want to go across the WAN link? That costs you money, a lot of money. You want to use like authentication traffic, don't have it go across the WAN link. DNS traffic, don't go across the WAN link. The only thing that really should go across this WAN link is replication between these two DCs. All the clients on this side should use this DC. All the clients on this side should use this DC. That's the whole purpose of setting up sites. You know how much the school's monthly, last time I heard, monthly internet bill was?
A lot.
$40,000 a month for the internet bill.
That's disgusting.
Those WAN links are expensive. There's no reason to be paying, because they charge you per kilobit. There's no reason to be paying all that money to resolve names. This machine should be a DNS server. This machine should be a DNS server. Remember the global catalog I was talking about? How it resolves, it helps you find things in other sites. I should have one global catalog here and one global catalog here, and try to keep this WAN link free for only replication traffic. I'm going to go back to sites and services. Sometimes, guys, you might have a satellite office with only clients, no DCs, and at that point they're going to have to go to another site to sign in. You know, because it's not worth it. It's cheaper to pay for the bandwidth than setting up a server on another site. So, guys, we have two ways we can send data across the WAN link. Through regular IP. We're familiar with IP, just regular IP traffic. Or SMTP. Basically, if it's a really slow link, we can have one DC email the other DC all the updates and replicate through email. So two protocols, IP or email. Normal an email. So, guys, I like to rename my site link. So I have a site link between east and west. I like to give it a name that's appropriate. I can have multiple site links. I'm going to call this east and west. So let's say I had another site down here called south, and another site up here called north. But these are small sites, and they don't do a lot, don't have a lot of users or something. I have DCs here. I might want to create a site link between these two and say you can only replicate at night. Create a site between these two, and again, only replicate at night. But these two are busy, and I could say replicate 24/7. So that's why you might want to create multiple site links to connect different sites together. I'm going to double click here, and you can say how often you want to replicate. Normally, DCs replicate every 5 to 15 minutes. You might want to say only let DCs replicate across the WAN link every 180 minutes. Because you just want to wait till you have a bunch of traffic before you send that over, a bunch of changes. The smallest you can go is 15 minutes. Guys, we're going to change that to 15. The reason being is we don't want to wait in class 180 minutes before a change takes effect. And this site link links east and west together. You can have multiple site links for one location. And you can change the cost to have it more preferred. I might have a site link that goes through, say I have a site link between here and here. that goes through west, I might have that as a less preferable way than to go through here. If this goes down, I want to be able to go replicate through the west. So you can assign cost value. The lower the cost, the more preferred route it is. We can also specify when you want to replicate. Let's say on Sundays, not a lot happens. On Saturdays, not a lot happens. I don't want to allow any replication at all. I only want to replicate during the weekdays. Maybe your network is so busy, maybe you don't want to replicate, during the busy hours of the day, from 5 to 6 p.m. Because that site link is used for a bunch of other things. Let's say if I create a document on a DFS server here. How quickly do you need it over on the other site? If you don't need it that quickly, maybe just have it replicate in the evening when no one's around, when it's not used for other purposes. So again, another reason why we can control sites. Guys, make sure that's 15 minutes. I didn't make any changes to this. We just want to control replication traffic. So that should be every 15 minutes. Guys, we're going to do something else here in a little bit. I'm going to tell you something, and no one's going to remember. Knowledge consistency checker. I'm going to tell you you're not going to remember. I'm going to ask you next class period, and you're still not going to remember it. The knowledge consistency checker is the process that tells which DCs replicate to which DCs. So if I have 3 DCs, DC 1, 2, and 3, the knowledge consistency checker might say this machine replicates to here. This machine replicates to here. This machine replicates to here. It's the process that defines who replicates to who. And we can see that right here. So if I go to West and look at DC1, who does DC1 replicate to? Well, no. Who does DC1 get replication from? DC2, 6, and 5. Who does DC2 get replication from? 1 and 6. It might not be the same for all of us. DC5 replicates from 1 and 6. And so let's draw this out. We're going to draw this out for my network. So I have 1, 2, 5, and 6. So 6 gets from 2 and 5. Five gets from 1 and 6. Two gets from 1 and 6. And 1 gets from everything. So let's look at that. If I make a change on 5, I add a new user account here. How will that information get to 1. Okay, it can go right here, or it can go here, then right there. What if I create a new user account on 1? Okay, so 1 will, 1, okay. What if I create a new user account on 6? So it's pretty much a full, no, so it's, let's see. So what if I did something on, if I create a new user account on 5, how does it get to 2?
You go to 1.
It has to go to 1 first, then to 2, or it has to go to 6, then to 2. Okay, that's called your replication topology. The KCC defines it. Here's the problem. Do we want to allow any DC to replicate to any DC across the WAN link? No. The other thing is that WAN link is controlled by our ISP. We have no clue how secure it is. The term we use is black box. We don't know how that's controlled. We don't know how it's performed. We don't know how it's done. We call our ISP, we tell them we want a connection from here to here, and they connect us. What technology they use, we might not even be aware. It could be frame relay, it could be VPNs, whatever it is. It's completely transparent to us. And we don't know how secure it is. So when there's any traffic being replicated across the WAN link, we want it to be encrypted. That encryption takes CPU power. That encryption takes CPU power to encrypt, and it takes CPU power to decrypt. So if we want to encrypt across a WAN link, we need to define which DCs are allowed to go across the WAN link. These are all on the west sites. I'm going to have DC 3 on the east site and DC 4 on the east site. I'm going to say only DC 1 and DC 3 because they're all in the same domain. I need the term that we're going to use is a bridgehead server. I'm going to label this a bridgehead server and this a bridgehead server. So for that domain, only these two can replicate to one another. If I had a child DC on the east site, I need to make this one a bridgehead server, and I need to do one for each domain. So by labeling a machine a bridgehead server, the KCC will not create any replication topologies beyond what I defined. So it's not going to allow 2 to replicate to 4 at all, or 2 to replicate to 3. Only DC 1 and 3 will be allowed to replicate to each other. And when you label a bridgehead server, it's then going to, those 2 machines are going to encrypt that traffic before it sends it across the WAN link. So whoever you define as a bridgehead server needs to have more memory, a better CPU, because it's going to be handling a lot of encryption. Especially with us, we're running every 15 minutes. So it needs to be a beefier machine than your normal DC. And again, the reason we do this is because we don't know if this is safe. So, guys, I don't have any DCs on the other site yet. But I'm going to go to DC1, and I'm going to search for here. I'm going to DC1, right-click the server, and go to Properties. And I said for the IP protocol, that's what we're using to communicate between sites, I'm going to make DC1 a bridgehead server. This server is a preferred bridgehead server for the following transport. If your bridgehead server goes down, other DCs will replicate. Because at that point, you won't have a bridgehead. Click OK. And it's saying, wait a second, This is not going to include data from your child and a datum. That's fine. I have no DCs on the other side. If I highlight servers, which one is a global catalog? I would put the Bridgehead server on a global catalog on both ends. So I'm going to have a global catalog on this end. So I'm going to make sure that that's my Bridgehead server. So, because the global catalogs have to replicate anyway, so we might as well encrypt that traffic anyways. So right now, I have one global catalog on the west site. When we get over to the other side, we'll have two global catalogs over there. So I'm going to now actually connect these sites together. We never finished the router setup. On my script, guys, I'm thinking I'm going to add another DC. I'm going to add another server over to this east site eventually. On my script, I configured all the IP addresses for the NAT router. Because if I give you 6 hours to do the test, you guys spend 5 hours trying to ping from here to here. Just trying to get the routes right. So I added all the routes and configured all the IPs. We just have to walk through the wizard to set it up as a NAT router. So basically on NAT1, I'm saying to get to the east site, go across the WAN link. This is going to be 16.2, this will be 16.1. So to get to the 8.0 network, send the traffic across the WAN link to 16.2. Let this router get it over here. I'm doing a backup site. I'll show you what that means later. And on the other side, I'm saying, why did I add this route? I don't need this. We got to erase this. No, that one. Oh, that's it, just an IP. Here's the route. So I'm looking, why did I add that route? Okay, right here's the route. I'm saying if you're on this side and you want to get to 172.16.0.0, go across the WAN link to 16.1. So configure all the IP addresses, all the routes, all you have to do is walk through the wizard. So I'm going to go to NAT1. Guys, that 2019 glitch got me. I'm going to rename this computer. You know, when you try to do the add and the rename at the same time, it messes up in 2019. So I'm going to click on computer name. If yours isn't set, I'm going to set it. CS01-NAT1. Again, it's not joined to the domain. Let it reboot. I'm going to open up, I'm going to install routing remote access. My script didn't install it because installing it through PowerShell just messes it up sometimes. I'm going to do remote access. Routing. Restart if needed.
Mm-hmm.
Kat, if you need me to come back there, let me know.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So I'm 3D to create a thing.
Guys, once it's done, launch routing and remote access. And we're going to configure enable routing and remote access. We have to do this at both routers. This is going to have the NAT feature. Got the glitch. NAT, which is my public interface. Public. Guys, this wizard only allows me to share the public with only one subnet, but we can add the other one manually. I don't care which private interface you choose.
Wait, was it NAT or VPN NAT?
NAT. The first question is public, then you choose one of your privates.
Professor?
Yeah.
I don't have a public network.
Sets up authentication. Records all the MAC addresses and what switch it's attached to. And then it sets all the IPs up accordingly.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me, yeah, sorry.
One at the top. When?
Paste.
Guys, if you can't see the benefit of PowerShell at this point,
Okay, choose public.
so guys, once you're in, we need to add the other interface. So go down in IPv4, highlight NAT, new interface, add the interfaces that you're missing. It's private. If internal's missing two, add that as well. So public should be public with NAT. All the others should be private. Okay, guys, let's start the installation on the other machine, then we'll take our break. Do you want me to go back to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, on NAT2, do the same thing. Let's install it, take a break, and then we'll come back and configure it. If you don't have any IPs, it's an easy fix. First, I gotta change my computer name. CS01 NAT2.
Was West supposed to be private or public?
I'm sorry?
West, on the net.
Private.
Private?
The only one that should be public is public. Again, remote access. Then routing. I'm going to pause the video. So guys, let's go to NAT 2 and turn it into a NAT router. Routing remote access. Highlight your server, configure and enable routing remote access. Choose NAT. Got the glitch. Choose NAT. Choose your public interface. If you don't have a public interface, I'll come back and help you. I don't care which one you use. Once you get in, go to IPv4, go to NAT, add the ones you're missing. And the ones you're adding are always private. Mine crashed, no big deal. I'm going to open up the firewall on my NAT.
Go back and do it.
Give it a minute to finish. Enable net, firewall rule, display group, file, and printer asterisk. Do it on both NATs. Listen, if a computer is joined to the domain, we don't need to do it, it automatically does it. As soon as you're part of the domain, it changes the firewall rules for you automatically. Okay. Keep clicking OK. Just that utility to display crashed on you. So I'm going to do that on that one as well. Josh, you want me to come back?
After printer, there's an asterisk at the end.
Make sure you use display group, not display name. Camera on NAT 2. Walk through the wizard and set it up as a NAT router. I'm going to do ping. Guys, the count is N, and the source IP is uppercase S. So I'm going to do ping dash S. I'm on that too. 172.16.8.1 to 170. I'm just going to ping once. 172.16 to 0.1. And I was able to ping through. I'm going to ping from. Here's my settings. I have one router here, subnet, another router here, subnet, then I have the internet. I'm going to ping from here to here, with that phrase. Okay. History, select object, expand command line. Display group, asterisk. Let me help Josh and
Oh, it's extra.
I'm sorry? Joel? Okay, that's all right. Because you're saying ping 172. Quotes. Does that work? Yeah. So guys, with this, we're able to actually know we have connectivity between the two sites. Because I only want, instead of pinging 3 times, I just want to ping once. Or 4 times. Campbell, did you get through all this? Okay, highlight that. Add east and private, click up there, and add it. Guys, before we go to the next step, which is promoting DC3 and 4, we want to make sure that you have connectivity between the two sites. If you don't, we're dead in the water.
after activity or missing statement or one of the other.
One second, I'll look at it. On both machines? I mean, it's working. Everything I pinged works. When I pinged, it worked. I didn't even retype the grid. I just put the upper out.
So,
Listen, you can't ping it, you can't use the interface, it's open. Okay. Okay, there. Here, let me, see now. Oh, you have to, I think I see the typo. Did you enable the firewall?
yes.
On both machines? It's a firewall, because I can ping through it.
That's gonna be the same thing for both that one. That's gonna be the same thing for that one too.
I assume.
Printers.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
What? Oh, I didn't do the fire.
Look, run this command right here. On both NACs, the enable command.
Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna turn DC3 into a domain controller. Who is DC3 gonna point to as a DNS client? DC1 and DC2. Because remember, that's the one that knows about Contoso. It'll change it to itself once we promote it. So guys, boot up DC1. While we're waiting, actually boot up DC4.
Well, okay, let me, order that one. You're doing from that one? Yeah. We're gonna switch these. Oh, okay, so he's on that one. So we're gonna flip these. And that two. Go on the other side. And that's an uppercase S.
What a difference, huh? A lower case in there. Oh, that's good. It works.
What's the name of the process that that sets up the replication topology?
KCC.
It stands for?
Knowledge, something.
Consistency check. Guys, you will get all questions on the test about that. I just try to drill it in people's head. The other thing people can't remember is called central store. I won't go over that. I'm on DC 3. Adrian, are you still booting?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hold off a minute. We're not in a rush.
That's right. I updated the map to include IDs. Go to D12 and find it. Oh, there it is. That was it. Oh. Okay, do you need me to help keep up?
Yeah, I'm just, working his thing.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to go on or hold off?
You can go on. I got it right here.
Okay, so I'm gonna click OK.
Rename reboot. CS01DC3. Sign in and install Active Directory directory services. This is going to be an existing domain. We're just adding a new domain controller to an existing domain.
That's BC2.
Yep. Active Directory domain services. Make sure you click the restart, because the restart will happen after you promote it. Guys, while you're waiting, do me a favor. Go to your desktop on your real machine and create a folder with your name on it. Because on the day of the test, I forgot to tell the people who left early, and I had to go stalk them on the internet to find out who they are.
You know what actually happened is, I had it, she said, but I deleted everything on my computer when I was done.
Oh, okay. When it's done, click on Promote the server to domain controller. The default is what we want to go with, contoso.com. Guys, use DNS because a broadcast won't work because that's on the other side of the network. And I'm not going to change anything. But there's one thing I do want to point out. Look at this. I now have a site. It automatically determined that based on its IP address, it belongs in the east site. This one is going to be a global catalog because I don't have any on the site yet. I don't need to update any delegation. I don't care who I replicate from, DC 1 or 2. Not making any changes.
Question?
Yep.
Now, are we checking global catalog or keeping it off? Unchecked.
Leave it checked.
Okay.
In DC4, we're going to uncheck it.
Okay.
172.16.8 up. 172.16.09. 2 and 172.16.03.
East or west?
East, which it should have automatically determined. Guys, I'm going to go in, look at Active Directory sites and services, make sure that this DC falls in the right area. There's a 15-minute delay between, normally DCs replicate around every 5 minutes. Could take up to a half hour, 15 minutes, but across a WAN link, there's always at least a 15-minute delay. So in these scenarios, it's best to just sit and let it bake for a little bit. Don't try to rush and create replication topologies. You've got to let it sit. Let it work itself out. So I'm going to go to DC3, open up Active Directory sites and services.
I think you take off.
Now I have one server over on the east side. We've got to label that a bridgehead server before we go on.
Your gateway is 8.1. Go back and look in your phone, do that, look up space and touch it.
So, yeah.
Now you're good.
Guys, I'm going to highlight my server, go to properties, and for IP, make this a bridgehead server. So when I highlight the servers, I can see that it's a bridgehead server for IP. And on west, DC1 is a bridgehead server. On east, DC3 is a bridgehead server. On west, DC1 is a global catalog. On east, DC3 is a global catalog. Guys, things just, if your global catalogs aren't configured properly and your bridgehead servers aren't configured properly, you create a user account on one side, it just never shows up on the other. Take your second break now. I just want to let this set. Some people are still promoting.
hook touch for you. Do you want me to come back there?
Things got having some issues.
Do I think can stay? Full touch on no, go do this on DC. Your problem is you can't promote, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Well, actually, I don't think, it's not.
DC3 is not seeing the other side.
okay, okay, so over at Grant Pump and show me IP config all. No, that's good, that's good. No, you can, that's good. Do NS look up? Space control select. Don't hit enter. You want the word out. So, Control C. Okay, ping. 172.16.3.1. Okay, go to NAT 2. Go there, and let's make sure your fire's off. Enable. You can do that. Okay. Advance. Bound print sharing echo request. Top 2. Got that one in the middle.
My timing is wrong.
Highlight the first one. Without shift. So let's go back. And hit the arrow. Okay, I don't see that. I thought it'd be a small issue, but. So, your issue is because of this one. 4. Okay, then you know, so you'll be up with us, we will. Guys, I'm gonna take a break, I'll be back. You know, the IP is gonna be 8.3, DC4. Mike, point DC4 DNS to point to DC3.
DC3.
Yeah, and then promote it. Uncheck global health.
Okay. So DC4 wants to.
Yeah, that's what it's happening.
Adrian, I just walked away. The problem was both your NAT routers, the script didn't work initially when you built the machine. So you have no IPs in your NAT routers.
Oh, okay. What is the IP for DC4?
8.3.
8.3.
Just like this one is the bridge at PC1. The good ones will be there on that, but just go to this one, right click it, so just add the IP over here, and that makes it the bridge. Oh, then you need a default set to west, then you take the east side. Yeah. That was west, this one's east. And then this is west, and this is east.
Okay, we're ready. Let's go through.
Guys, I kid you not. Until I started adding the IPs to the router, it would literally take me 2 days to get a class of students to be able to ping across. So guys, I'm going to go to DC4 now. First, I'm going to unpause. Oh, I never paused. I'm going to go to DC4, configure the IPs, set the computer name, install Active Directory domain services, and make it a new DC for the parent domain. This machine should not be a global catalog server. I already have one on DC3 for the east side. Make sure you put 248 in the subnet mask. Guys, I only need to point this to DC3 because DC3 already has all the DNS information. IP will be 8.3, gateway is still 8.1, that's our NAT router, NAT 2. And the DNS is pointing to DC3 because DC3 knows the same information that DC1 and 2 has. There's no reason to send this across the WAN link to resolve names. I'm going to click OK. Rename, reboot. DC4. When it's done, I'm going to install Active Directory domain services. Guys, I'm one fast. You should be able to do this without looking at notes or anything. No global catalog. It'll automatically put itself on the east site. When this comes up, we're going to check DNS, we're going to check sites and services, and that's what we're going to end for today. Guys, look at this. See how it's black here and blue in the thumbnail? Just close it, reopen it.
No catalog with the number for it.
I'm sorry?
I said the catalog, the UC catalog, the global catalog.
904.
So I went ahead and just went along with the fund message. Breakpoints.com.
I think this is just a glitch. Okay. Did it work, Derek?
I'm finding it right now.
Guys, I'm going to sign in. Check DNS and check sites and services. Guys, on the day of the test, just give it some time. Just let this sit and get all the replication that it needs. Because the next thing we want to do is start creating groups. We want to be able to give access to multiple domains to a resource that's in one domain. So we're going to do something called group nesting. If you don't have replication, that group nesting isn't going to work. DNS, sites and services. I have the reverse lookup. Again, I replicated that from the other side. There's my forward lookup. DNS looks fine. If I go into sites, there's east. I have 2 DCs. There's west. 2 DCs. I could delete this. I don't really need this anymore, but I'm going to leave it alone. Sites and services. If I go to east, I have 2 DCs. DC3 is a global catalog and a bridgehead server. DC4 is not. Who does DC4 replicate to? 3. Good. We don't want DC4 to replicate to anyone on the east side. Who does DC3 replicate to? 1 and 4. So it gets everything from the west side, gets sent over to DC3 from DC1, then DC3 replicates it to everyone on that side. Okay, I'm going to stop the video, upload this,